He was born in Latvia to a family of musicians, studying piano, trumpet, and voice before learning to conduct. Now, Andris Nelsons is poised to be one of Boston's cultural leaders as the new music director of the Boston Symphony Orchestra. Jared Bowen sat down with the maestro this afternoon at Symphony Hall.
So, Maestro, welcome. The question everybody has first and foremost on their mind is, what direction will you take the orchestra? How are you going to make your mark?
Well, thank you. I think this is a combination of things. I think, firstly, I want to continue and to, the great tradition of orchestra has and always had, with the great maestros in the history. And of course, I want to continue the great way of sound what the orchestra has, the great way of music expression the orchestra has. In the meantime, of course, every person is different, and me as a musician, as a conductor, obviously I have the repertoire which is maybe closer to me, which I want to present to the orchestra. That is very much a repertoire of Germanic tradition as well as Slavonic tradition. Of course, in the meantime, I want to absolutely to continue the great tradition of French repertoire, which orchestra always had, as well as the commission pieces for orchestra, some contemporary.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who, especially considering your age, will wonder if more contemporary music will be a bigger part of what you'll bring to Boston.
Yeah, I can't tell exactly whether it will be more than my predecessors do or not. I know that I'm very curious, on exploring what the composers compose nowadays, and I want to explore and also to learn more and to find out, to discover what the composers, also American composers, as well as European contemporary composers which I have performed before, and also people who I haven't performed before. I want to discover, because we want to have audience feeling satisfied, emotionally influenced, and actually just happy, to be happy after the concert, as well as to be professionally and intellectually be discovering things and developing as well.
Going back to the orchestra, they've been leaderless in some regard for 2 years. So and I know you have conducted the orchestra already, and you will again this summer. How are you finding the orchestra is playing at this moment?
Well, the orchestra is a fantastic orchestra. Of course, as we know, it's one of the world's best orchestras, and as I told you, it's a great tradition of playing. It's to me, I think the sound of the orchestra is really great. It's a wonderful concert hall. It is the best concert. I think it's one of the best concert halls in the world, and it's the orchestra is really absolutely wonderful. And it's a great honor and a great excitement and a great dream world I have in my mind, what to perform with the orchestra.
I want to also ask you, a lot of people have talked about just your physical vitality on the podium. How do you describe what's happening when you're up there at the podium that you're so energetic?
It is the music which inspires. I think it's very simple. It's really the music which inspires. Well, I'm quite young. I'm still able to dance on the stage. But I think it's the music which inspires us, and I think, and also my personal vision or understanding about the conductor. I think the conductor should inspire the orchestra to create the atmosphere of music. So, therefore, you should use, of course, your arms, your face, of course, your intellect, but also your body language. In my case, probably it's bigger than smaller. So.
And finally, I just want to ask, to what degree will you make Boston home? I know that you have a wife and a young daughter who's only about 18 months. So how much will Boston be home for you?
Well, of course, having a music director position in Boston, of course, it is my main musical basis, and of course, it is going to be extremely, important, and my most concentration of my time and of my work. It's a lot of planning and arranging, and that's what happens now.
All right, well, Maestro, it's a pleasure to have you here, and I won't take up any more of your time because I know that you're throwing out the first pitch at the Red Sox game tonight, so it's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. Thank you very much.
Once Andris Nelsons gets settled in Boston, he'll be raising his baton with the BSO at Tanglewood.